This short screencast will cover a brief historical view of psychology in the first half of the 20th century, and then introduce a model which has become more predominant in the last 50 years. First, we'll have a brief look at the nature of psychology prior to the 1960s. Up until the 1960s, there had been two dominant schools of thought in psychology. The Freudian model. This model believed childhood conflicts drove adult behaviour. The other dominant model was behaviourism. The behaviourist theory believed we were mainly products of our environment. However, since the mid-1960s, a cognitive experimentalist approach has been the most influential perspective. This is where the emphasis is placed on the way we process information, and the need to investigate this process using measurement and experiments. One of the most important findings in psychology in the last 30 years is that individuals can choose the way in which they think. Of course, realizing that we can choose the way we think does not mean that we behave like Mr. Spock from Star Trek, who analyzes everything he experiences and does not appear to display emotion. Instead, what this shows is that we have the ability to use simple techniques and put into practice a method of structuring our thoughts. Thereby, when we face potential difficult situations, we can interpret these events differently and experience a less hazardous emotional outcome. The Freudian and behaviourist models tended to focus on the repair of things once they had become a problem. Unfortunately, this meant that people that needed help often had to wait until they were unwell before they could get clinical assistance. Now, you'll no doubt be aware there is no one-fix-all approach to life's problems. Life can be pretty complex, and what we need is a set of tools to deal with issues as we develop through life. With this in mind, there is a relatively new movement in psychology which is concentrating on the fulfilled individual and the thriving community. This movement comes under the umbrella of positive psychology. Positive psychology is not based on wishful thinking or self-deception. Instead, it utilises some of the tried and tested tools obtained from scientific research, which have the ability to empower individuals. Therefore, it's not providing a solution afterwards, but instead giving you the tools to enable you to deal with challenging issues in both your personal and work life. This is the end of this short screencast. Initially, it considered two influential models of psychology prior to the mid-1960s. It then introduced the more recent perspective of cognitive experimentalism, which includes a branch called positive psychology. This branch aims to share the tools discovered during experiments, enabling the empowerment of individuals.